David's heart raced with a mix of fury and sadness, but he knew this was the evidence he needed. He recorded the entire encounter, capturing the betrayal in high definition. Watch till the end to learn who broke David's heart and how he made them pay. David had always thought he was a lucky man. With a stable job as an IT manager, a cozy home in a suburban neighborhood, and a beautiful wife, Claire, life seemed perfect. Their son, James, was the light of their lives, bringing joy to their otherwise routine existence. Claire was captivating, with her sparkling blue eyes and a smile that could light up any room. They had been together for over 7 years, and while their relationship had its ups and downs, David felt secure in their love. But recently, he sensed a shift in Claire. She seemed distant, often distracted by her phone, and her laughter was less frequent. David shrugged it off as the pressures of motherhood and work. After all, Claire had returned to her job as a marketing executive after taking years off for James. One afternoon, while they were watching television together, David noticed Claire's phone buzzing incessantly on the coffee table. Her face turned pale when she saw the name flashing across the screen, Dean. David's heart raced. Dean was Claire's charming coworker, someone she often mentioned in passing. Sensing an opportunity, David casually reached for the phone, pretending to only take it to pass it to her. "Is this your work group chat?" he asked, keeping his voice light. Claire hesitated, then snatched the phone from his hands. "It's nothing important," she said too quickly, her eyes darting away. The tension in the room was palpable, and a nagging feeling of doubt began to grow in David's mind. That night, as soon as Claire fell asleep, David's curiosity got the better of him. He unlocked her phone and scrolled through her messages. His heart dropped when he found an explicit exchange between Claire and Dean. Anger and betrayal surged through him, filling him with a fierce determination. He barely managed to stop himself from waking Claire up right in the middle of the night and having it out with her. Instead, he decided to get proof of the affair. Over the next few days, David started working on his revenge. He became more involved with James, taking him to soccer practice and spending quality time together. He also discreetly contacted Dean under the guise of wanting to befriend him. He crafted a story about how he admired Dean's work ethic and was eager to get to know him better. Although suspicious of David's behavior, Dean couldn't come up with a plausible excuse and agreed to meet up. So one evening, David arranged a meeting with Dean at a bar, choosing a quiet corner where they could talk. As they exchanged pleasantries, David steered the conversation towards Claire, mentioning how hard she had been working lately. Dean's demeanor shifted, a flicker of guilt crossing his face. David sensed an opportunity. "Claire is an amazing woman, isn't she?" "I just wish she could relax a little," David said, feigning concern. "I've noticed she's been a bit distant. I hope everything's okay." Dean shifted uncomfortably, his eyes avoiding David's. "Yeah, work can be stressful, I guess," he replied, his tone lacking conviction. David pressed on. "You know, I worry about her. She deserves to be happy." The conversation continued, and Dean's suspicion deepened. "Do you think she's okay?" David asked casually, leaning forward. "I feel like I don't know her anymore." Dean gulped, the tension thick in the air. "Honestly, I think she's just busy." "But she's got a lot of support." "Support from whom?" David probed, a sense of dread creeping in. "Her family, you know, friends and colleagues," Dean replied too quickly, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. He didn't know what he expected to get from that meeting, but that night, David made the final decision to make Claire pay. He began to devise a plan, and the first thing he needed was solid proof of the affair, so he decided to follow Claire one evening. When Claire left their house later that week, David followed her discreetly. His heart raced as he trailed her to a restaurant downtown, the same one where they had celebrated their anniversary just a year prior. Through the window, he saw her laughing and leaning close to Dean at a table in the corner. David's heart sank as he recorded their interaction with his phone. The laughter, the way Claire twirled her hair, felt like a knife in his gut. After a while, David noticed them getting up to leave. He hurriedly moved to a different vantage point outside the restaurant, preparing to capture any further incriminating evidence. As they walked away from the restaurant, David followed them to a nearby park where they sat on a bench, seemingly lost in their own world. David zoomed in on the two of them as they exchanged whispers, Claire leaning in close to Dean, and then, in a moment of reckless abandon, they kissed. David's heart raced with a mix of fury and sadness, but he knew this was the evidence he needed. He recorded the entire encounter, capturing the betrayal in high definition. The next day, David arranged another dinner at home, knowing it would provide the perfect backdrop for his revelation. They sat across from each other. "Claire, we need to talk," David said, his voice steady but laced with emotion. "I know about Dean." Claire's eyes widened in shock. "What do you mean you know?" She stammered. "I followed you, Claire. I saw you with him. I have video proof of you two together, kissing like it's nothing." David's heart raced, but he pressed on, feeling a sense of liberation in speaking his truth. "You've betrayed me and our family." Claire's face turned pale as she tried to defend herself, stumbling over her words. "David, it's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think," he interrupted. "You chose to cheat on me. You chose to destroy our family." The conversation spiraled into a heated argument. Claire's feeble excuses fell flat against the weight of David's evidence. As the truth sank in, Claire's demeanor shifted from defensive to remorseful. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she realized the gravity of her actions. "I'm so sorry, David," she pleaded. "I just got caught up in everything. It was a mistake." "No more apologies, Claire. This isn't about forgiveness anymore. You've made your choice." He felt a bittersweet satisfaction in her despair, knowing he had finally confronted the truth. But David wasn't finished. He had an idea that could strike at the very heart of Claire's affair. He had once heard about Dean's marriage from Claire, back when they were just friends, or at least so he thought. If he exposed their affair, not only would he hurt Claire, but he would also unveil Dean's betrayal to his wife. After Claire left for work the next day, David took action. He quickly crafted a post for social media, detailing Claire's infidelity and how she was seeing a married man. With a few clicks, he made the post public, tagging both Claire and Dean. It wasn't long before comments flooded in. "Is this true?" one of Claire's friends posted. "What a cowardly act," another chimed in, seemingly outraged. David felt a rush of satisfaction as he watched the drama unfold. It wasn't just Claire's reputation on the line. Dean's was too, and David was prepared to make sure that everyone knew it. As he sat back, David received a message from an unknown number. It was Dean's wife, Jessica. "I saw your post. Is this true? What proof do you have? Meet me at the park tomorrow at noon. I'll share everything I have." When the time came, David met Jessica, who was visibly shaken. "I can't believe this," she said, her voice trembling. "Dean has been acting strange for weeks, but I never thought." David handed her his phone, where he had compiled the video evidence. As she watched, tears started streaming down her face. "This is unbelievable," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I had no idea he was capable of this." "They've been lying to both of us," David said, feeling a strange sense of camaraderie with Jessica. "I just thought it was time for the truth to come out." Now that David had exposed the affair, he was ready to move on to the next step in his plan. That evening, he sat James down. "Buddy, I need to talk to you about something important," he began, trying to maintain a calm demeanor. "What's wrong, Dad?" James asked, sensing the tension in the air. "It's about Mom," David said, bracing himself for the emotional storm that lay ahead. "She's made some mistakes that hurt our family." James's brow furrowed in confusion. "What do you mean?" David took a deep breath. "Mom met someone else, and I don't think we can work things out, so I'm going to be filing for divorce." James's eyes widened in shock. "Is that why you've been so upset?" David nodded, fighting back tears. "I'm sorry, James. I'm sorry you have to go through this. I want you to know that I love you, and I'm here for you no matter what." As the truth settled in, James broke down, sobbing in his father's arms. "Why would Mom break our family apart?" "I don't know, buddy," David whispered, his heart breaking for his son. "But I promise we'll get through this together." In the weeks that followed, the divorce proceedings began. David hired a lawyer and focused on ensuring he would get custody of James. He documented every moment of Claire's behavior, gathering evidence of her instability and the affair. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about protecting his son. The court hearings were intense. Claire fought fiercely, trying to portray David as an unfit father, but the evidence David had gathered, along with his dedication to James, swayed the judge in his favor. After several tense sessions, the ruling came down. David would have primary custody, with Claire receiving limited visitation rights. When the judge declared the decision, David felt a rush of relief. He had fought for his son, and in that moment, he knew he had done the right thing. After the ruling, Claire approached David outside the courtroom. "David, please, can we talk?" She pleaded, desperation in her voice. "Talk? About what, Claire?" "About how you chose to destroy our family." "There's nothing left to say," he replied, the anger still fresh in his heart. "James deserves both of us." "I know I messed up, but I want to make things right," she insisted. "Making things right means being honest, Claire. You haven't been honest with yourself or with him. You've broken his trust." "It will take more than words to fix this," David said, his voice steady. As he turned to walk away, he saw Claire's face twist with frustration and despair. "You don't understand. I can change." "Maybe, but you'll have to do it on your own," he said, resolute in his decision. "I won't let you drag James into your mess." The months that followed were a blur of adjustments. David focused on creating a stable environment for James, engaging him in activities and spending quality time together. They went on camping trips, played soccer, and even had movie nights filled with laughter. David found solace in the simple joys of fatherhood, slowly healing from the wounds Claire had inflicted. Meanwhile, Claire struggled to adapt to her new life without them. She tried to reach out to James, but David kept a close watch, ensuring that her influence was minimal. The limited time Claire had with their son was strained as he was still grappling with the betrayal. One day, while picking James up from school, David spotted Claire waiting at the gates. James's face lit up at the sight of her, and David felt a pang of jealousy mixed with protectiveness. He watched as she knelt down to talk to James, her expression one of desperation. "Hey, Mom. I missed you," James exclaimed, running into her arms. "Hey, sweetie. I missed you too. Can we go get ice cream?" Claire asked, glancing at David. "Just for a little while," David replied, trying to keep his emotions in check. "But remember, we have plans for the weekend." Claire nodded, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "I promise I'll make it worth it, James. We'll have a great time." As they left, David felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He couldn't shake the feeling that Claire was still trying to manipulate the situation. He had seen the way she had turned on the charm to win James over, and it made him wary. Nevertheless, he decided to keep a close eye on her, but give her a chance to stay in James' life. What do you think about this story? Share your thoughts in the comments. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.